Like any game that doesn't take itself too seriously, Palworld is packed with some eyebrow-raising details. Leaps in logic and nonsensical narrative choices are usually fun, but sometimes Palworld pushes suspension of disbelief to its absolute breaking point. Palworld has been described as Pokémon with guns far too many times at this point, especially considering that in reality the game is so much more. By now, players are so invested in what makes Palworld so different from Pokémon that it's easy to forget how much Palworld leaned into that comparison when it was first released. The original trailers on Steam put cute creatures with heavy armaments front and center and really made it seem like that was the whole point of the game. Maybe it's not the main focus of the game, but arming your pals is still a big part of the Palworld experience, which is a little strange if you stop to think about it. Maybe we can buy the fact that pals are intelligent enough to understand how to use a gun, but it's much harder to get us to believe that they'll be any good at shooting. Some pals don't even have opposable thumbs. There's no way they're launching missiles or firing 15 rounds a second. Then again, maybe it's possible that some serious modifications can make a gun work with a paw or hoof. Engineers, get back to us on that one.
This is going to take a lot of work.
Another Palworld feature that the game's marketing made explicitly clear is that pals aren't just meant to be cute friends or travel companions. You're supposed to put pals to work. The more you become invested in building an elaborate base, the more you'll come to realize that you need all kinds of pals to gather resources, move items around, and craft gear for your next adventures. Without pal labor, the Palpagos Islands would fall apart, and Palworld would be missing a huge part of its gameplay loop. Listen, it's great to have pals available to cater to a player's every whim, but they would make terrible employees in reality. First of all, how are many of these four-legged creatures farming or crafting anything? Even setting that aside, just consider the upkeep a pal labor force would require, or the physical ramifications of this kind of work. Players might not have to pay their pals, but they definitely need to feed them if they're gonna keep working. No one knows much about pal biology, but in the real world, horses can eat roughly 19 pounds of food every day. And for some reason, pals never seem to need to go to the bathroom. Something's not adding up here.
Oh, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper.
We've talked about how ridiculous it is that pals can use guns and effectively run our entire base of operations by themselves. It doesn't make real-world sense for pals to be able to do any of that. But even within the video game logic of Palworld, the capabilities of pals raise some serious questions. Realistically, we wouldn't get far in the Palpagos Islands without the help of our little buddies. From combat to labor, players rely on pals for everything. So why exactly are humans the ones in charge?
I don't like where this is going.
To be fair to Palworld, it does make some attempts to show that the balance of power between humans and pals is always shifting somewhat. Humanity has gone out of its way to control pals, creating pal spheres and the towers for this very purpose. Clearly, humans have some good tech, but it still doesn't make sense that they've basically come out on top. Pals are shown to be quite intelligent, with some of them being as smart as humans. They're also competent in just about every way humans are, plus they have abilities that are borderline magic. Sure, not all pals work for humans, but it doesn't even make sense that this many do. Realistically, much like in the world of Pokémon, pals should be the ones running the show. It might seem obvious to say, but pals don't make any biological sense at all. Palworld is populated by completely regular human beings who are physically just like us, who somehow coexist alongside magical creatures that could easily dominate the world. Fine, this type of story always requires some suspension of disbelief, but if you really dig into the lore of the pals, you'll discover that this game asks you to ignore something even more unbelievable. The PAL deck entry for Robin Quill tells us that pals and humans apparently share an ancestry. It says, "The Robin Quill may prove to be a key for understanding what pals are and how they diverged from humans so long ago. On an evolutionary scale, we technically all have a common ancestor, but it seems beyond silly to apply a similar logic to humans and pals. These things can shoot fire, so they're clearly aliens or something, right?" The true origin of pals is still a bit of a mystery in the game, and that, luckily, makes this quite a bit easier to ignore.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.